My fiancée posted, "Can't wait to be a Mrs." 2 days after breaking up with me. I was confused until I saw she'd already updated her last name to her ex's on Facebook. I said nothing, just sent the screenshots to his fiancée. When both their relationships exploded simultaneously. Original post. I, 30 male, am an electrician. Union card, steady paycheck, nothing fancy. I drive a 10-year-old Tacoma, and I eat lunch out of cooler 5 days a week. I'm not rich, I'm not impressive on paper, but I pay my bills and I show up. I thought that mattered. Turns out it mattered right up until something shinier came along. My ex-fiancée and I were together for 3 years. Engaged for the last 4 months of that. I proposed with a ring I bought with cash, about $3,800, round-cut solitaire, nothing crazy, but nothing to be embarrassed about either. She said yes. She cried. She called her mom from the restaurant bathroom. I thought we were solid. The breakup came out of nowhere. A Tuesday evening. She came home from work. She's an office coordinator at a dental practice, and sat me down and said she needed to talk. Her speech was rehearsed. I could tell because she didn't pause once. She said she'd been doing a lot of soul-searching and realized we were on different life trajectories. She said she loved me, but wasn't in love with me anymore, and that she needed to honor her own growth. It sounded like she'd been reading self-help captions on Instagram, which, as it turned out, wasn't far from the truth. I asked if there was someone else. She said no, looked me in the eyes and said, "This is about me, not about anyone else." I believed her. I shouldn't have, but I did. She took her stuff over the next 2 days, clothes, toiletries, the KitchenAid mixer her mom had gifted us for the engagement. I didn't fight it. I was too numb. She left the ring on the kitchen counter with a Post-it note that said, "I'm sorry. You deserve someone who's sure." I stared at that note for about an hour. Then, 2 days after she walked out, I was scrolling through Facebook at midnight, the way you do when you can't sleep and your brain wants to hurt itself, and I saw it. Her post. Public. Profile picture updated to a selfie with a fresh blowout and new nails. Caption. "Can't wait to be a Mrs." Ring clinking glasses, new chapter loading. I sat up in bed. Read it 3 times. My first thought was that she'd lost her mind. We'd broken up 48 hours ago. She wasn't engaged to me anymore. What was she talking about? Then I clicked on her profile. She'd changed her last name on Facebook. Not to her maiden name. Not to mine. We'd never gotten that far. She'd changed it to a completely different last name. A man's last name. Someone I'd heard about exactly once. Early in our relationship, when she'd mentioned her college ex in passing and said it ended badly. I didn't panic. I didn't call her. I just sat there and let the math do itself. She'd been soul-searching. She wasn't in love with me. There was no one else. And 48 hours later, she was publicly claiming a different man's last name with an engagement announcement. I opened a new tab and searched the last name. It didn't take long. I found him on Facebook too. His profile was mostly private, but his relationship status was visible, engaged to a woman's name. Not my ex, a completely different woman. His actual fiancée. My ex had changed her last name to a man who was currently engaged to someone else. I screenshot everything. Her post, her name change, his profile, his relationship status. Saved them to a folder on my desktop. Didn't send them to anyone. Didn't confront her. Didn't post anything. I just sat in the dark with my phone and thought about what to do. It took me about 20 minutes to decide. I found his fiancée's profile. She was a nurse. You could tell from the scrub selfies. Her page was more public than his. Photos, check-ins, the whole thing. She looked happy. Normal. Like someone who had no idea what was about to land on her. I created a burner email address. Not because I was scared, because I wanted the message to be read without the distraction of who sent this. I attached every screenshot. The post, the name change, the timeline. I wrote one line. I think you should see this. I was engaged to my ex's first name until 2 days ago. I'm sorry. I hit send at 1:14 a.m. and turned off my phone. Update 1. 3 days of silence. Then everything blew up at once. First, his fiancée. She didn't respond to my email directly, but I could see the fallout happening in real time on social media. Her relationship status went from engaged to blank. She removed every photo of him from her page. Then she posted, not vague, not cryptic, a straightforward story that said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Starting fresh." That was Wednesday. Thursday morning, my ex called me. First contact since the breakup. I let go to voicemail. She called again. I let that go too. Then she texted, "Did you message her?" I didn't respond. She texted again, "You had no right to get involved in something that doesn't concern you." I read that one twice. Let the audacity of it just marinate. The woman who was engaged to me 4 days ago, who left me for another man, who publicly changed her last name to his while his actual fiancé had no idea, was telling me I had no right to get involved. I texted back one word, "Noted." She called again. I didn't pick up. She sent a long text, the kind that fills your entire screen, and then some. The highlights. I was vindictive. I was jealous. I couldn't handle that she'd moved on. She and her ex had reconnected months ago, and he was going to leave his fiancée anyway. I'd ruined something beautiful because I couldn't stand to see her happy. Months ago. She'd said months, which meant she'd been with him while she was with me, while she was wearing my ring, while we were talking about wedding venues and whether to do a band or a DJ. Months. I screenshot that text too, added it to the folder. Not because I had a plan, just because I'd learned by that point that documentation is never a bad idea. Then it got worse. Her mom called me. Her MOM. This woman had hugged me at Thanksgiving. She'd call me son. Now she was on the phone telling me I'd humiliated her daughter and that what I did was cruel and calculated. She said her daughter and this man were in love and that I should have stepped aside gracefully instead of trying to blow everything up. I said, "Your daughter was engaged to me while sleeping with someone else." I told the other woman, who was also being lied to, "That's not cruel. That's a courtesy." Her mom said, "She didn't know you anything." The relationship was already over in her heart. It wasn't over in mine, and it wasn't over in his fiancée's either. You need to move on. I am moving on. This is what that looks like. She hung up on me. Now, the other side of the explosion. His fiancée clearly did her own digging after getting my email because things unraveled fast. For what I pieced together through mutual connections and some very public social media activity, here's what happened. His fiancée confronted him. He denied it initially, apparently told her the email was from a crazy ex trying to stir things up. She almost bought it, but the screenshots were too specific. The name change was still visible on my ex's Facebook. The timeline matched up. He couldn't explain why my ex had changed her last name to his and was publicly calling herself almost Mrs. his name. He broke, admitted to the affair, apparently told his fiancée it was just emotional at first and only became physical recently. Classic trickle truth. His fiancée didn't wait for the full version. She told him to get out of their apartment. Her name was on the lease and called her dad to come change the locks. Here's where the entitlement for my ex really ramped up. With his relationship blown up, she assumed this was her moment. He was free now, right? The obstacle was gone. She expected him to come to her with open arms, and they'd ride off into their new chapter. That's not what happened. Instead, he panicked. His fiancée had been paying 2/3 of their rent because she made more as a nurse. He had a decent job, something in logistics, but not enough to cover that apartment alone. On top of that, his fiancée's dad was a contractor who'd done about $6,000 worth of renovations on the apartment as a gift to them. New kitchen backsplash, bathroom fixtures, built-in shelving. When the breakup happened, her dad wanted reimbursement. Not from his daughter, from him. So within a week of the truth coming out, my ex's dream man was single, possibly getting sued for renovation costs, scrambling to find a new living situation, and based on what I heard from a mutual friend of ours who knew someone in his social circle, not even returning my ex's calls. She'd blown up my life for a man who wasn't picking up the phone. My ex texted me again around this time. Different tone now. Not angry. Strategic. She said, "I know things got messy, but I want you to know I never meant to hurt you. Can we talk? I think we both said things we didn't mean." I read it. Then I typed out and deleted about 4 different responses. The one I sent was, "You changed your last name to another man's while the ring I bought you was still warm on my counter. There's nothing to talk about. She said, "You're going to look back on this and realize you threw away something real." I said, "I didn't throw it away. You packed it in a box with the KitchenAid mixer." Update 2. 2 weeks since the emails went out. The dominoes were still falling. My ex's situation with her dream man had deteriorated in a way that would be funny if it weren't so pathetic. From what I gathered through the grapevine, our mutual friend group was small enough that information traveled fast. He had taken her back. Sort of. They were together in the sense that they were seeing each other, but he wouldn't make it public. No Facebook status. No photos together. No acknowledgement of the relationship at all online. He told her he needed time to heal from his breakup before going public. She'd left me, a man who'd proposed to her in public, put a ring on her finger, and told everyone who'd listened that she was the one, for a man who wouldn't even put her in his Instagram story. But she was committed to the narrative. She kept the last name change on Facebook. She kept the "can't wait to be a Mrs." post up. When people commented asking questions, she responded with vague stuff like "God's timing is perfect folded hands," and "some things are worth waiting for." She was performing a relationship that wasn't really happening yet. Meanwhile, his ex-fiancée, the nurse, was doing just fine. More than fine, actually. She'd quietly gotten the full story from friends who knew both sides, and the picture that emerged wasn't pretty for him. Apparently, this wasn't his first affair. A woman who'd been friends with both of them reached out to the nurse and told her he'd had a flirty thing with someone at his job about a year prior. Nothing confirmed physical, but enough that people noticed. His ex-fiancée started sharing these details selectively, not blasting them publicly, just telling close friends the full picture when they asked. The kind of quiet, factual truth-telling that's more devastating than any rant post. Then my ex made a move that honestly took me by surprise. She called my younger brother. My brother is 26 and has always been the peacemaker type. He liked my ex. They got along well. So when she called him, he picked up, figuring she wanted to apologize or get closure. Instead, she pitched him on being her messenger. She told him that I was being stubborn and that if I just agreed to talk to her, she could explain everything. She told my brother that I'd overreacted by contacting the other woman and that the whole situation was fixable if I just stopped being petty. My brother, who I love deeply and who is a much nicer person than me, listened to the whole thing, then called me and said, "She wants you to know she can explain everything." But honestly, bro, the fact that she called me instead of you tells me she already knows you're not budging, and she's trying to find a side door. Smart kid, my brother. I told him, if she calls again, don't pick up. I don't need a mediator. He said, already blocked her. Just wanted you to hear it from me first. Then came a financial thing. This is the part that actually made me angry. Not hurt, not sad, genuinely angry. About 3 weeks into the breakup, I got a Venmo request from my ex $1,400. The description said, half of the couple's spa package and anniversary trip deposit I put down in October. Back in October, while she was apparently already reconnecting with her ex, she'd booked a spa weekend for our anniversary. Paid the deposit herself as a surprise. When we broke up, she obviously canceled it. And now she wanted me to pay half. Half of a trip she'd booked while she was cheating on me. I declined the Venmo request. She sent again. I declined it again. She texted, "You agreed to that trip. You owe me for my half." I said, "You booked a couple's trip while actively being in a relationship with someone else. That's your cost of doing business." She said, "I'm going to take you to small claims court." I said, "For a spa deposit you voluntarily made for a relationship you voluntarily ended? Good luck finding a judge who cares." She never filed, obviously, but she wasn't done. She told her mutual friends I owed her money. Spun it as me refusing to pay my debts. 2 of them, a couple we used to double date with, texted me asking about it. I forwarded them the Venmo request screenshot with the October date and said, "She booked this while cheating on me and now wants me to pay for it. Does that seem right to you?" The wife responded first, "I'm sorry. We didn't know the full story." She told us it was a different situation. The husband responded an hour later, "We're not getting in the middle of this. But for the record, no, that doesn't seem right." They never brought it up again. And from what I heard, they quietly stopped taking my ex's calls too. Update 3. Final. It's been about 6 weeks since the breakup and roughly 5 since I sent those screenshots. Here's the final tally. My ex and her dream man lasted about 3.5 weeks as a couple before it fell apart. The reason was almost comically predictable. He started talking to his ex-fiancée again. Not to reconcile. The nurse had made it crystal clear that was dead, but because he owed her money for the apartment renovations and they needed to settle it. My ex found out he'd been calling the nurse and lost it. She accused him of going back to her. He told my ex she was being paranoid. She said, "You cheated with me, so don't act surprised when I don't trust you," which is the most self-aware thing she's ever said, even if she didn't mean it that way. They broke up. He moved in with a friend from work. She had to take down the "can't wait to be a Mrs." post because people started commenting things like, "So, what happened to this?" She quietly changed her last name back to her maiden name. No announcement. No explanation. The post just disappeared and the name just changed, and anyone paying attention could see the timeline for what it was. The nurse, his original fiancée, ended up fine. She kept the apartment. Her dad didn't pursue the renovation costs legally because the guy agreed to pay it back in installments just to avoid court. She posted a photo about 3 weeks after the breakup with her sister at a baseball game with the caption, "Real ones stay." She looked genuinely happy. I was glad. She didn't deserve any of what happened to her. My ex's friend circle shrank significantly. Not because of some mass exodus, just the slow, quiet math of people deciding who they believe. The couple we used to double date with stopped inviting her to things. Her college roommate, who she'd been close with for years, called her out for lying about the Venmo situation and the timeline of the affair. The college roommate told a mutual friend, "I can handle a breakup, but I can't handle someone who rewrites reality and then asks me to co-sign it." Her mom remained her mom. Still blamed me. Still told anyone who'd listened that I was vindictive and had destroyed her daughter's chance at happiness. Her sister, though, her younger sister, sent me a DM about 2 weeks after everything went down. It said, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm sorry for how this went down. You didn't deserve it." I told her that, and she didn't want to hear it. "Take care of yourself." I responded, "Thanks. I appreciate that." And I meant it. The ring, the $3,800 solitaire she'd left on the counter, I sold it. Got $2,200 back, which isn't great, but I used it to pay off the last of a credit card I'd been carrying. Felt like converting a bad memory into a clean slate. Not poetic, just practical. Now for the part one don't love admitting. I'm not some stoic hero who walked away from all this unscathed. The betrayal didn't just hurt. It made me question my judgment. 3 years. I was with this person for 3 years, and I didn't see it. The soul-searching, the different trajectories, the rehearsed breakup speech. It was all cover for something she'd already set in motion. And I sat there nodding, accepting her post-it note apology, thinking she was just confused. I wasn't even on her radar anymore. I was the problem she'd already solved. That's the part that keeps me up, not the cheating. The fact that I was the last to know. That everyone around me, her, him, probably some of her friends, knew the truth while I was still looking at wedding DJ playlists on Spotify. I deleted those playlists. Took longer than it should have. My brother checks in on me every few days. He doesn't push. Just sends me random stuff. Memes, work updates, links to trucks he can't afford. One night he called and said, "You know you did the right thing, right? Sending those screenshots." I said, "Yeah." "You don't sound sure." "I'm sure it was right. I'm just not sure it was enough." "Enough for what?" "I don't know. For it to matter." He was quiet for a second and then said, "It mattered to the nurse. She got the truth. That matters." He's right. I know he's right. I still think about it sometimes. What would have happened if I'd never seen that Facebook post? If I'd just gone to bed instead of scrolling? She and the ex would have carried on in the background. His fiancée would have married a man who was cheating on her. And I would have spent months wondering what I did wrong, never knowing the answer was nothing. The screenshots didn't fix anything for me. My relationship was already gone. But they gave someone else the information I wish I'd had. The truth delivered in time to make a choice. That's not revenge. That's just decency with a Wi-Fi connection. I work my shifts. I eat lunch out of my cooler. I drive my old Tacoma. The passenger seat is empty and the ring is gone, and some nights are worse than others. But I'm not pretending. I'm not performing. I'm not changing my last name on Facebook to someone who doesn't want me. I'm just here, and that's going to have to be enough for now.